Coming up, the story of a song that fueled one of the most famous movie scenes ever. It's a hallmark of Generation X, written by maybe one of the last musical geniuses on this planet. It's shocking that this well-known song wasn't really a hit when it was on the charts. Many have wondered who the song was really written about, written for. Speculate no more. The answer is next on Professor of Rock, brought to you by Zenni Eyewear. Hey, music junkies. Professor of Rock always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. If you're all about music, you're going to want to subscribe below so you don't miss an episode. Now a daily channel. Also, hit us up on Patreon. That really helps us make more videos and do more interviews about these amazing artists and their songs. So it's time for another episode of Number One in Our Hearts, where of course we celebrate a great song that should have been number one on the Hot 100, but it came up a little bit short. The first film that was presented as a talkie, that included dialogue with music and effects, was The Jazz Singer in 1927. Since that time, the placement of a specific song in a movie can take an already amazing scene to a higher plane. In some situations, it can transform it into the most memorable part of the film. On the other side of the coin, the placement of a song in a movie can also re-energize a song's popularity in pop culture, especially when that scene introduces the song to a new generation of fans. Now, over the decades, there have been quite a few examples of this. Elton John's Tiny Dancer in Almost Famous. That scene is so vital to that film. And it's something that Cameron Crowe as a director loves to do in his movies. And I love it. He takes a timeless song and he has his actors sing along to it. Free Fallin' by Tom Petty and Jerry Maguire, Tom Cruise singing that. Ricky Don't Lose That Number and Say Anything as well. The Righteous Brothers, Unchained Melody, and Ghost. That's such a moving song. And it created an ambiance where Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore connected so deeply that as viewers, it made us fall in love with the characters even more. Of course, Bob Seger's Old Time Rock and Roll and Risky Business. This is the one that made Tom Cruise a household name. And that song is so key to that moment. And one of my favorites, Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World. And the way it's used there, it's so hilarious, but it's really respectful. It's like a tip of the hat from Mike Myers and Dana Carvey's characters to the song. You have to remember that when Wayne's World came out, the grunge movement had kind of wiped classic rock from people's brains because they were focused on that. But a great song can withstand anything. It really introduced my generation, Gen X, to Queen's masterpiece. And that's All She Wrote. And of course, the biopic has done it to a whole new generation. And of course, there's that brutal torture scene in Reservoir Dogs where Quentin Tarantino used Stuck in the Middle with You by Steeler's Will. Anyway, you get my point. One of my favorite song placements in a film ever is the iconic scene in Cameron Crowe's 1989 movie, Say Anything, where John Cusack's endearing, broken-hearted character Lloyd Dobler stands outside his girlfriend's open bedroom window, raising a boombox over his head. It's blaring In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel in an effort to win back her love. That scene really made that movie and reinforced why In Your Eyes is number one in our hearts. Now, this scene has been talked about, regurgitated, referenced, and recognized a million times, as it should be. But that's why I'd like to offer a different perspective. First, some history for those of you who might not know this. If you remember, right before the boombox scene, Diane Court had just broken up with our hero, Lloyd Dobler, which one of the greatest movie characters ever.
She gave me a pen. Gave me my heart and she gave me a pen.
Such a vulnerable and moving scene by Cusack. Director Cameron Crowe thought that Lloyd Dobler would want to send Diane a message that he wasn't giving up on their relationship. Cameron Crowe felt that music should be the center of that message, hence the boombox scene. However, John Cusack wasn't completely on board, as I understand it. He wanted to be true to the character of Lloyd Dobler, and he felt that the planned scene would seem a little desperate and a bit pathetic. So Cameron Crowe, who is a great actor's director, tried the scene with Cusack idling in his car with the stereo on top of his car, which actually now made the character seem too passive. Cameron Crowe was thinking of cutting the scene altogether. Can you imagine? Now, on the final day of shooting in LA, Crowe and his crew saw an empty park. Daylight was running out with a little bit of time left. Cameron Crowe convinced John Cusack to try the scene the way that he'd originally envisioned it, with Lloyd Dobler holding the boombox over his head. But at that moment, John Cusack knew exactly what to do to be true to his character. A Fishbone song was blaring out of the speakers, and John Cusack held up the boombox with like a look of bold defiance. Not defeated, but obstinate. Cusack felt that this was his character's last stand with Diane. This perspective allowed a beautiful moment without betraying Lloyd's character. Cameron Crowe originally planned on using Billy Idol's song To Be a Lover for that scene. It was even in the script, but it didn't work as he envisioned it. Fishbone wasn't working either. I guess Fishbone was one of John Cusack's favorite bands in that moment. So one day Cameron Crowe was driving in his car, and he happened to find a mixtape that he'd made for his wedding when he married Nancy Wilson of Heart. In Your Eyes by Peter Gabriel came on, and he had an epiphany. The song was perfect. I mean, it hit every emotion he was looking for, so he was able to get Peter Gabriel to watch the film to approve the usage. He had a phone call with Peter Gabriel in which Crowe was turned down. Peter Gabriel said, "I can't let you use the song, I hope you understand." Of course, Cameron Crowe was disappointed, and he was about to hang up the phone, and then he just asked why. Peter Gabriel explained that he didn't think it worked because of the overdose. Come to find out, Gabriel had watched the wrong film. Instead of saying anything, he had watched Wired, the John Belushi story. So later, Peter Gabriel watched the film, and he loved it, of course. He was also further encouraged to grant the request by actress Rosanna Arquette, who is said to have been a major inspiration for the song. Peter and Rosanna were an item at the time the song was written in the mid-'80s, and the lyrics reflect Peter's feelings for the actress. Now, it's very likely that Rosanna Arquette was the primary inspiration for In Your Eyes, since she had those big, hypnotic blue eyes. Just beautiful. Rosanna's eyes also captivated Steve Porcaro and David Page from Toto. Porcaro was dating Arquette in the early 80s prior to her romantic relationship with Gabriel, and she inspired David Page to write the lyrics for their #2 pop hit. It was a muse for two of the greatest pop songs ever recorded. Amazing. When Say Anything was released in 1989, it was a bit overshadowed by the big summer movies that would follow. I mean, this was the year of Batman, Lethal Weapon 2, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Great year for movies. But over time, Say Anything gained cult status, and that scene became one of the greatest in movie history. Now for a different perspective. As we talked about earlier, several songs were tried for this iconic scene, and they just flat out didn't work. Ironically, the actual soundtrack for Say Anything included several amazing songs, like Within Your Reach by The Replacements, that was used in the movie, and Stripped by Depeche Mode. Now, maybe I'm a bit biased here, but what if Cameron Crowe would have tried Stripped for that scene? This actually works really well for my point here. As I've mentioned in past videos, Stripped by Depeche Mode is one of my favorite songs ever. And what In Your Eyes and Stripped have in common is conveying a feeling of potent romantic obsession. Very few songs in the history of pop music have that. I mean, I'm talking about the highest degree of potent romantic longing and obsession for another human being. I mean, it's such a higher vibration of that feeling that it's almost like a religious or spiritual experience, the song. I mean, it goes beyond infatuation, beyond desire, even beyond love. It's like a combination of all three that were possible that somehow lifts the soul to a space of rapture. Now, certain songs in pop music, the music can do that, and in other songs, the lyrics can do that, but it's extremely rare for both of those to come together, convey it, and have it fit so seamlessly as it does in Your Eyes. I mean, In Your Eyes is a beautifully arranged, spine-tingling ballad that Peter Gabriel himself claims can be a song about romantic love between two people or an intense love for God. As the song's lyricist, Peter Gabriel is certainly entitled to poetic interpretation. But this actually supports my point. Romantic love or an intense love for God is just a higher vibration, a higher spiritual plane than most of us reside in. In addition to the incisively heartfelt lyrics, In Your Eyes is distinctive for its lush, atmospheric layering of African music, with the use of the djembe drums and other African instruments. I mean, the tune's pre-chorus features a counter melody on a 12-string guitar as the bed to Peter Gabriel's brilliant lyric line. And all my instincts, they return, and the grand facade so soon will burn. Without a noise, without my pride, I reach out from the inside. Man, just saying the lyrics just lifts my soul. It just does.
Without a noise, without my pride, I reach out from the inside.
The background vocals in the chorus for In Your Eyes are provided by Jim Kerr from Simple Minds and the late Michael Bean from The Call. Another incredible part of In Your Eyes is the artistry of Youssou N'Dour, who sang the vocal breakdown at the end of the song in Wolof, the language of his native Senegal. Gabriel called Youssou's voice divine intervention and said that it was straight out of heaven. I mean, he was exactly right. This is incredible. Loosely translated from Wolof to English, Youssou is singing the words, your eyes, the heat, the light, I am inside. In your eyes, the light, the heat, I am complete. Peter Gabriel is simply one of the greatest artists in the history of the world. We'll definitely be dedicating an episode to him very soon. I love his voice. I mean, like I said before, when I was talking about, the achievement of the highest degree or vibration of love and potent romantic obsession, Peter Gabriel's voice is the epitome of this. He has an incomparable tonality as a singer. I mean, the immense color in his voice is unmatched. So much emotion, so much anguish, and powerful persuasion. It's like a heavenly dagger to the heart of any listener. I love it when he sings, oh, I want to be that complete. I want to touch the light and heat I see in your eyes. Are you kidding me? Think about that line. I want to touch the light and heat I see in your eyes. If that's not, give your life 1,000 times for the love of your existence, I don't know what is. It's just so amazing. In Your Eyes was the third single released from Peter Gabriel's hugely successful album, So. Surprisingly, the song only peaked at number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the fall of 1986. Number 26. It's crazy town. The song has generated immense popularity since its release, undoubtedly due in large part to that unforgettable scene in Say Anything. I think many of the elements that make the song so exceptional are probably the reasons why the song didn't chart higher. The song is 5 minutes and 15 seconds long, which is over the ideal 3 to 3.5 minute song length for radio. They set the rules. It would be unthinkable, if not criminal, to edit any part of this magnificent song. Plus the African dialect for the last 45 seconds of the song and the world music instrumentation probably made the song a little too avant-garde for the top 40 radio programmers of the day. It is what it is. In 2005, 19 years after its release as a single, In Your Eyes became a certified gold single for Peter Gabriel, his first. It's hard to convey my intense feelings about this song. I've been talking about it for 10 minutes, and I've thought about it on and off for decades. I don't feel like I've come close to scratching the surface of the first 20 seconds. It's really a song that can't be defined. It can't be conveyed. It's pretty much the perfect example of that famous quote that's been credited to Elvis Costello or Martin Mull. Writing about music is like dancing about architecture. Whoever said it doesn't really matter. It certainly applies here. Some music vibrates beyond our wavelength. It's best just to honor its perfection by listening, really listening. In Your Eyes will forever be number one in our hearts. To hear this perfect song, click on the curated playlist below. Leave us a comment on this song. on Say Anything or Peter Gabriel below. If you like our content, subscribe. Also, share it with others. Last of all, hit us up on Patreon. Be a part of keeping the music alive. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends. Stay safe.